Hi. In our last video we talked about the first cause. So let's see if we can identify some of the characteristics of the first cause. First, let's say what it is not. It is not a member of the set of contingent things. Remember, contingent things need something else to exist, but the first cause, so therefore the first cause does not need anything in order to exist. Its very essence is to exist. Whereas contingent things may have existence, the first cause is existence. Its very being is existence. And remember, contingent things do not have to exist. So, therefore, the first cause has to exist, and its existence is necessary. It's the one necessary being that gives all contingent beings their existence. Because the first cause is necessary and does not need anything else to exist, it's therefore infinite in its existence, because there's nothing that can hinder it or stop it or contain it from existing. Okay, so to exist means to be. Therefore, we can say that the first cause, if we're going to define it, we can say the first cause is the infinite act of self-existence, or the continual act of being. Also, too, it's not a material. Matter must have a form, but if it has a form, then it's limited to that form or by that form, and therefore can't be infinite. Matter can also be changed, meaning something else greater than it can change it. But as we just said, nothing can be greater than the first cause, so the first cause cannot be changed by anything. So anything material cannot be the first cause. Okay, so let's say what we can say about it. And before we try that, we must also acknowledge that because we're finite beings talking about an infinite being, our understanding will always be partial and incomplete. There will always be more to the first cause than we can comprehend. Still, there are some things we can understand. First, there must be at least one first cause. As we've just said earlier, in order for contingent things to exist, there must be at least one non-contingent being. Okay. Now, also, there can't be more than one first cause. Let's just say this, if there were two or more first causes, then there must be something to differentiate between them. Like this has this, and this has this quality, that has that quality, this has that quality, so on and so forth. But then that would mean that each first cause would lack something the others have. But since we just said the first cause is infinite, it cannot lack anything in its existence. Besides, anything that could make that differentiation would be then greater than the first causes, and we'd be back to being a contingent thing again. Also, too, if there were two or more first causes, but they were all identical, absolutely identical in every respect, then by law of identity, we must be talking about the same thing. Okay, so again, there can only be one first cause. Also, the first cause does not change over time. And now, what do we mean by that? Well, things can exist either as actual or potential. Actual things exist now. Potential things only exist in the future, and they are caused by something else. Therefore, potential things are also contingent things. And as we've just said, there can be no contingency in the first cause. So the first cause is entirely actual. Okay? So the first cause exists infinitely, actively now. Okay. At every time, every point, there's never been a time when the first cause has not existed, and in its existence, it's always the same existence, active now. Another thing we can think about, derive, is that every ability that we have, the first cause must already have. Okay? So, if we have the ability to reason and think, love, create, things like that, then the first cause must already have those abilities as well, and more than we have them. Okay, so again, it would be possible for a cause to impart less than what it has, but it cannot impart more than what it has. So if I have $100, I can give you 20, even $100, but I can't give you more than that. So if I have and by the same conclusion, if I can give my children blue eyes or whatever, but also the ability to think, reason, love, and create, is because I had those abilities myself, and I can impart them to my children. But then that also means if any contingent being has those abilities, then the first cause must have already had those abilities as well and imparted them to us. Okay? But now this can go the other way. We can also ask the question then, well then does the first cause have sickness, or is it evil? Because, those are things. But, well, when we can have something, well, we can say we have something, or we lack something, or we have it in a degree but not totally. Okay? So for instance, in physics, we don't measure darkness, we measure how much light there is. Darkness is just a lack of the positive quality of light. Likewise, we don't measure coldness, we just measure heat. Coldness is just the lack of heat. Sickness is the lack of the positive quality of physical health. Okay? And if we look at virtues, then to be evil means to lack the positive quality of right reason and love. So the first cause cannot lack the virtues of love and wisdom, but instead imparts those virtues to us. And again, we can have those virtues in varying degrees. Okay? So wrap it up. We derive our being from the first cause at every moment of our existence. Since the first cause lives right now, exists right now, it is also imparting its being to us. We cannot be unless we are given being by the first cause. Okay, let's look at some objections. Okay, if there has to be a first cause, why can't the universe itself be the first cause? Why posit something before the universe? Isn't it simpler to simply believe that the universe has always been here? Well, Aristotle tried that, the Greeks tried that, and they ran into various problems. For instance, if it well, here's the thing. Then the universe must also have the property of being contingent and non-contingent together. And again, that violates the rules of non-contradiction, excluded middle, sufficient reason, because that's saying somehow the universe popped itself into existence with no cause, and then at the same time was also subject to its own laws. Again, every rational thought goes against that. We cannot conceive that. So it's actually quite difficult. And again, for the same reason we were saying, the universe is material. So it runs into all those problems that we were saying before about material things being the first cause. So it's actually extremely difficult to conceive of a universe that causes itself from nothing and is subject to its own laws. It's far simpler and more rational and easier to believe that there is just a set of contingent things and then a non-contingent thing, each distinct from the other. The other objection is, aren't we just appealing to supernatural causes because we can't understand what caused something to occur? Well, no, we're not coming up with this because we don't understand. We are saying this because we do understand how cause and effect occurs. Remember, it's not cavemen, it's Aristotle and other intelligent people using their reasoning and they deduce the necessity of a first cause. But again, anyone can arrive at this conclusion. It's not that difficult to come to. Okay, 4-year-old children keep asking why. So this conclusion is not hard to come by. Also too, this argument can be adapted to a newer argument that I've heard about evolutionary settings. It says it only made evolutionary sense for us to believe that there was a God because religion confers a cohesion to the community. But now we don't need that. But that argument can be argued both ways. We could say, well, since there is a truth to this argument, this truth confers a survival advantage. So it can go both ways. The other objection is, isn't this argument just a disguise for theism and the Christian God? Remember, I'm Catholic. But this is not an argument, but this isn't then not an argument against Christianity, but for Christianity. If the first cause of our reasoning lines up with the God who reveals himself to us in the Bible, then that actually provides good justification to believe both our reasoning and the revelation in the Bible. That just gives more weight to both of these avenues. It's like arriving at the same truth from two different directions. So, as we said earlier, to exist means to be. The first person singular of the verb to be is I am. When Moses asked God his name, God replied, I am. So we actually have a consonance now between the first cause of our reason and the God of revelation. So in our next video, we're going to look at some of we can go two ways. We can look at more about the universe, or we can look at someone who says they met the first cause. Okay? All right, we'll see you. Bye.